Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. And I'm Sharad Varshney. I'm founder of OvalEdge. And I also have Saurabh Agarwal with me, and he's dialing in from Noida, India. And he's an ex-McKinsey consultant, and he's expert on asking questions uh, around any topic. So he's a generic consultant. Um, today's topic is the evolution of data catalog, that how the data catalog has been evolved and over the period of time. And we'll be talking mostly about the evolution of the data catalog. Saurabh, I will give it to you.
Thank you so much, Sharad, for the nice introduction. So let's dive into it straight away. Before getting into the evolution of data catalogs, let me start with a basic question to set the context. Can you tell to our audience what exactly is a data catalog? And if you can also contrast data catalog with some other related terms, for example, a data dictionary or a business glossary, so that everyone understands what exactly is a data catalog and what role does it have for modern organizations?
Yeah, wow, it's a very good question, and especially when you put the contrast in between. So I think the data catalog is a repository of all the metadata with extended metadata. So means that the concept of the data catalog came up from the product catalog, Amazon.com, etc. So that's where the concept came up, is that how can we organize our data nicely and neatly and cleanly, right? Because if you go to a Amazon.com, everything is very nicely structured and easily findable, researchable, and that's why there is a lot
Mm,
of adoption of the data products, or the actual products, and Amazon market valuation went up because of that. So what if there is a easier way to organize the data nicely and cleanly, so that adoption of the data grows, right? So that's the concept. It started from there.
mm,
That's what exactly it is. And if you just a different, the data dictionary is just a definition of all the terms of the data elements and their definitions of it. That's purely the data dictionary is. It doesn't have the organizational capabilities and something like that. So consider a data dictionary is, as from the product perspective, it's a, you have product and you have this brochure, but
mm,
the catalog is like Amazon.com. So that's that's a fine difference between those two things. Business glossary is a very standard definition and standard definition and standard descriptions around it. So it's only like, if I have 20 different definition of something, how do I
mm,
centralize it? How do I make that okay? You have only one definition, one nice acceptable definition across the company, or hopefully across the world, hopefully across the country, across the world. Even no, even within the company, it's very difficult. Forget about organization and the country wise versus world wise. So that's the main difference between these three things, and that's why the concept of data catalog came up. It's a very new concept, maybe around 8 years old, I would say, comparative to data governance, which has been there forever, AI, which has been there forever.
okay.
The data catalog is comparatively new concept.
A new meaning, how old is it? Is it like five,
Like
six
seven,
years?
eight years old, I
Okay.
would say. Yeah, it's about 8 years old, I would say. 8 to 10
Okay.
years old. Yeah.
Got it. So, thanks for this distinction between these three concepts. Just to clarify it a little bit further, let me ask it this way. If an organization has, let's say, a data dictionary or a business glossary, what will it not be able to do that it will only be able to do through a data catalog?
Yeah. So I think that's a, again, a good question. Um, if you don't have a data catalog, you will not be able to discover those dictionary and business glossary easily. You will have it, but nobody will be using it. That's the main thing. Like every organization have tons of data dictionaries anywhere right now. They have business glossaries listed, but nobody uses it, and nobody is not easily discoverable, easily findable. So they just sit in the closet, and then multiple business glossary gets built up. Multiple data dictionaries are there. So the implementation is difficult. Discovery part is
Hmm.
difficult by end user. So they just there is an effort around building of those terms and
Hmm.
dictionaries, but there's not focus on adoption, consumption of it. So that's why there are two areas, and the data catalog is mostly focused on consumption of it rather than building part of it.
That's a great way to put it. So let me summarize what I understood. So what you're saying is, if an organization could end up having several versions of data dictionaries, even business glossaries, and they might still, because there are so many versions, they might not end up consuming or using those data dictionaries. But if you had a data catalog, it's like a map, it's like a catalog. So you will know which is the latest updated version of the data dictionary, and hence you will be able to use it. So
Also,
it's the
the
usage.
yes, that's also, but also the technology part of it is important. The data dictionary generally are sitting in the PDF files, spreadsheets, in not a
Okay.
centralized system for it. Since the centralized systems are not there, it's hard to for
Mm,
people to discover that, hard to have a unified approach within the company to find that information. So it's a the first thing is to have
mm,
it. Another one is to implement it, to find it discoverable. An organization uses it across the board,
mm.
and they find one central place, center of truth. Basically, that's what the really difference is.
Got it. Got it. So there is a technology element, and we
Yes,
will talk about features. So there, I'm guessing from this that a data catalog has multiple features, which these static PDF files will obviously not have. And maybe these features we will discuss as we get into the evolution. So
yes,
let's maybe now, I think now we are clear, the context is set, what is a data catalog and how is it different from some other concepts. Now we can get into the evolution. So can you tell me, when you think of evolution, then how many stages have you have in the past 7 to 8 years? How many stages have there been in this evolution of data catalog?
yeah. I think they say I generally categorize them in four stages, like four generation of data catalog.
Hmm.
The primarily, let's say, the first generation of the data catalog, which is primarily being the inventory of the data, which is not having too many feature functionality in the discovery point of view. It's mostly like keeping everything at one place, keeping it one central place, rather than bunch of PDF files are there where the data dictionaries are lying around. Let's have a one central place for all the metadata and its definitions around it. So that's the generation one. I generally consider
So,
that as
oh,
a central repository of the data element at one place.
got it. So can we maybe so as you said that there are four generations of data catalog, then maybe can we go gen by gen? Then what I would like to ask you is, generation by generation, what are the use cases and the features for Gen 1, and then we can move to Gen 2, and then Gen 3 and Gen 4. And then I
Yeah,
would also like to understand from you, what is the need for, what is driving this evolution, and how many more generations we will see. I think these are
yeah.
some of the questions that I will ask you. Um but before that, actually, just so that everyone
Hmm.
understands, uh, so we are right now at the fourth generation. We
Yeah,
have
right
seen
now
four.
we are running fourth generation. Yeah.
And just so that everyone can map the entire industry, would you say that fourth generation is in the early stage, or is it like almost everyone, all the vendors and the
So
customers are already
uh,
using fourth gen?
I think that the most people are moving toward third generation. We like more vendors are moving toward first generation to second generation. Some people are moving from second to third. We took a leap
Okay,
forward from second to fourth directly. A little bit like the third generation. So let me explain them by generation, and then I will tell you that how we are taking
okay,
the leap forward,
sure,
right?
sure, sure.
So
Let's do that.
let's in a fourth category we did define it is the first generation is a very high level, let's say, inventory of the data. Like so it's like I think the Raghav is saying that is it the dictionary feed into data catalog. This kind of like this is that it's a central repository of all the data dictionary at one place, manage everything, right? So that's kind of
Hmm.
one data catalog. The generation two is really is around focused around the generation one. Also there is also part of the discoverability part is there, that I want to discover easily because that's the main feature is there. But the generation two is
Oh,
about like, hey, I
wait,
have too much metadata. Yeah.
can I just on Gen 1, if you can just spend some more time on Gen 1? So you're saying what according to you, let's maybe spend 5 minutes on Gen
Mhm.
1 itself. what how old was Gen 1? I'm assuming Gen 1 started 7 to 8 years when the data catalogs came out.
Yes.
If you could tell us what was the main use case for Gen 1?
So yes, so the Gen 1 use case is data discoverability, so that the end users can easily
Hmm.
find the data what they're looking for. That was the Gen 1 use case. And a central place for all the metadata. That was the main intent for the Gen 1 is the at
And
least
what
have
sort
one
of
place.
feature?
Yeah, so the features was having connector to connect to different data source systems, bring the data
Hmm.
to the this one, and have the data discoverability aspect so the people can discover the data. That was the
So the
Gen 1,
search.
the search and
Hmm.
um, the central management of that is the Gen 1, kind of like uh, that's the main features people are looking for. And the
Okay.
objective is discoverability, easily finding the data and get
Okay.
value from it. That was the
So
first
great.
generation data catalog.
So let me ask one or two more questions, and then we'll move to the Gen 2. Mike, I'm wondering if Gen 1 seems to be a bit outdated. Are there any organizations which could still have a need for a Gen 1 data catalog? And are there vendors who are offering Gen 1?
Yes. So people still have like for example, if you have an analytics use case, and for analytics, your use case is only just to discover the data and
Hmm.
do the analysis on it. For them, the Gen 1 is enough. And especially like if you see the AWS data glue data catalog, for example,
Hmm.
Purview
Hmm.
data catalog. Purview can be considered as number Gen 2, but still like a lot of features are Gen 1 of them. The Google data catalog, those are still at Gen 1 data catalog. They mostly around inventory of the metadata, little bit extended of the
Hmm.
metadata, and discoverability for the
Hmm.
analytics user who can discover the data and find the data at a central place. That's the main feature
Hmm.
around Gen 1 is.
This interesting. One question that comes to my mind
Mhm.
is you took some big names like AWS and Google. And why is it that these big names are focusing on Gen 1? Is it because they are mainly solving for the analytics use case?
Yes, because they are only solving the discoverability problem. They have not their use cases is not because they are mostly primarily analytics company. They are primarily
Hmm.
they are analytics company. So they think that so serving analytics better, we need a catalog. So do that. Even
Hmm.
Snowflake also renounced their recent data catalog. Unity data catalog also, which is life, which is
Hmm.
Unity can be considered as a little bit Gen 2, but still I would consider as Gen 1. It's mostly the inventory of the
Hmm.
data at the central place and then allowing them to doing the analytics and self-service analytics to it.
Interesting. So it seems like if you're an organization where your use case is mainly analytics, and you might even be a large organization or a mid market or a small organization, but if your use case is analytics, then Gen 1 seems to be uh, the right catalog for
That
you if
then yeah
analytics is.
that if the analytics is the only use case and then you're looking for a very simple thing, then Gen 1 data
Hmm,
catalog is enough for you.
got it. And you also mentioned some of the vendors who provide Gen 1. Great. So then we can move to the next. So now actually tell it to me in this way. Why did data catalogs evolve to Gen 2? What was the gap that was there in Gen 1 because of which Gen 2 came?
Yeah, so the people started creating the data catalog for data analytics use case, mostly that people can easily discover the data. But the
Hmm.
major problem happened is the management of the metadata because too much metadata was there, right? So they needed
Okay.
to manage the metadata. So they needed a platform which can not only house the inventory but ensure that this is the right information. So that's what we call
Hmm.
it data governance. But the main information is to manage the complete quality of the descriptions which we are putting it out there. So for example,
Hmm.
if everybody sells the same information, Amazon is still put the best product out on the top, right? So how does a now Amazon have a different kind of thing that they hey the best if the customer can find the best product then their sale will go up and that's the whole valuation go up. Well,
Hmm.
for organization to give that right discoverability, they need to, if I have a four different definition of a specific data element, then which is the right data is the complex problem to solve. In order to solve this problem, the data governance was needed. In order to do data governance, the whole data governance group is needed, where the data steward, data custodian, data owners need to do certain rules to make sure the data which they are putting out there is a high quality, which is genuinely good data. To facilitate that process is a data governance process, and that was the generation two is evolved towards it.
Interesting. So the way let me try to summarize what I understood, and let me know if this is right or incomplete. It seems like the basic need that arose was of data governance. Until Gen 1, we were not talking about data governance. We were talking about data discoverability and
Yes,
analytics as the use case. But then you're saying uh, the data itself that you're trying to discover might have quality and inconsistency issues, and a lot of
yes,
metadata gets generated. You mentioned metadata needs to be managed. So data governance is the new need that is coming up. Then data quality is a new need that is coming up. And then you also talked about, I think, data lineage and business glossaries, etc. So to address these needs, you're saying Gen 2 data catalogs came into the picture.
yes. Yeah. So Gen 2 is a generally is a data catalog is a part of it, but generally is a data governance platform, becomes a platform
Hmm.
because the business glossary, data lineage, data quality, everything started combining and clubbing it into one and becoming as a some people are saying that this is an extension of a data catalog because it's a new concept. Some people are saying, hey, this
Okay.
is a data governance platform where the data catalog is one part of it, but we have business glossary data. So people are started talking
Hmm.
differently, but the need is actually doing data governance. And the data which is presented in the data catalog, the objective is that this need to be high quality. This need to be trusted. This need to be right data. So if I am finding my customer information, if I found the customer information, that customer information is actually the what I'm looking for. It should not be the one which
Hmm.
is, I should not make a decision from a wrong report. I should not make a decision from the wrong data. I should make the decision from the right data. That's the facilitating all these features is the really the generation two, which is happening. Yeah.
Hmm. Pretty interesting. So it's the way you are describing. It seems like data governance is almost like a separate need, and data catalog needed to evolve to enable the data governance. So some new features. So maybe if you could tell us what new features did the Gen 2 data catalogs needed to have over the Gen 1,
Yes.
because to
Yes.
in order to do some of these things
So,
like
so
you
the one of
mentioned.
the complex requirement for the data Gen 2 is data lineage, like where the data come from, where it goes. Although it seems very simple, but in order to facilitate the data lineage, that process is, because it's a complex process. So give you the,
Hmm.
just to understand that a large global bank spent $100 million to build the data lineage from end systems to a couple of things. Why so? It's about 5 years ago. And the reason for that is that because the compliance was pushing them that, hey, you need to know that
Hmm.
where the data need to come from. Imagine the scope of that. The $100 million, they manually stitches the data together. Now, because
Hmm.
all the vendors realize this is an opportunity, so we started building the technology around it. That how do we simplify and automate that process, because it was a complex, cumbersome process to build the data lineage. So
Hmm.
we innovated the technology of parsing the source code. Couple of customers, couple of vendors innovated the technology of parsing the log files. So we are trying to figure out where to get the insights from. The source code is
Hmm.
a truth, basically. That's where the data is getting moved from. So we thought of that as the right technique, which worked really well for us. So we took the source code, we parsed it, and we figured out where the data is moving from source system A to system B to system C to system D.
Hmm.
And that's where we were able to stitch the lineage. So the stitch lineage is the key part of it. And obviously the data quality, to check the data quality, whether the quality is moving from system A to system B to system C, is working throughout
Hmm.
the better or not. So that basically is the main aspect of the data governance. And that's the features is needed for that.
Hmm. And I think from a governance standpoint, you also mentioned roles. Like, for example, you mentioned data owners, data stewards,
Yes.
uh, whi-
So that is another
which would have.
requirement is also there. Yeah. So the ownership, stewardship, custodianship, who owns what data, the what kind of extended metadata is needed. Those are features are also needed in the data catalog. This were also there somewhere in Gen 1 as well, but Gen 2 need to evolve much better. So the like
Hmm.
ownership is there in even Gen 1, but Gen 2 is that how I can have a flexible ownership. Only for these data, I want this ownership. For this much data, I want that person to be owner. I want my flexibility and that kind of features
Hmm.
started evolving in the data catalog. And now it becomes much more easier for like Gen 2 data catalog is to search the specific data element, and you can say, okay, these are the things I want for these particular data assets. I want Saurabh to own this data, and I want Sharad to
Hmm.
own this data. So those kind of things started coming up. The research facilities was needed more in the data catalog to provide and facilitate those ownership, custodianship into the product.
Got it. Got it. So then a summary question. If I looked at a Gen 2 data catalog, how would it look different from a Gen 1? How will I be able to distinguish this is Gen 2 and this is Gen 1?
So Gen 2 will definitely have the data lineage, complex data lineage, easy to
Hmm.
ER diagrams, just to highlight that. And then ability to ownership, custodianship, collaboration features. Those are the typically the features of Gen 2s are. And Gen 1 is mostly around, like they will not have those features. They will have a very rudimentary lineage if they will have it. They will they will
Okay.
they will only have the data dictionary kind of feeling.
And
Mostly
search.
around that.
Okay. Hmm.
Search will
Hmm.
be there. Yeah.
Got it. Very clear. So then this is very interesting, and it's also clear the difference between these two generations. Now, my question is for Gen 1, you mentioned that mainly the use case was for analytics, and organizations looking for analytics would use Gen 1. What kind of customers typically you for which Gen 2 is suitable? And then tell me what vendors are offering Gen 2 today.
Yeah. So the Gen 2 is needed for mostly the organization who's need data governance. So the data governance is not needed for everybody. It's mostly the regulated
Okay.
industry. Is the industry for them the data is important. Like
Hmm.
for example, those who make decisions on the data, and if the decisions goes wrong, their industry can suffer. For example, bank is a very critical um, institution where the data is highly critical for them, right? If let's say they imagine that if the risk, they are calculating the risk for a bank, if the numbers is 1 million, number goes off, then their whole risk profile goes off. The bank can go down. Like the whole everything is dependent upon that. Comparative
Hmm.
to a restaurant store, for them the data is not that much important for them, right? Comparative to it's just giving
Hmm.
you that a company the perception around it. So although they can take an important decision, restaurant people can also take
Hmm.
important decision on it, but it's not going to the business is not going to suffer as much if
Hmm.
they take the bad decision. Of course, they will going to make losses, something, but it's not going to bring the business
It's
down.
not it's not
Yeah.
essential for them as
It's
it
not,
is for a
yeah,
bank.
yes. For bank, like it's
It's
consequential.
necessary. Yeah. Yeah.
It's necessary. Yeah. So that is where the industry who are regulated, industry who are like healthcare, banking, financials, or and the cutting edge companies, which is more data oriented. So
Hmm.
even though the restaurant businesses who are data savvy, right?
Hmm.
Those are the business, those who want to make data driven decisions, even though the companies
Hmm.
like the large organizations who want to make the data driven decisions, for them the data is important. For them the data governance is important. For them the Gen 2 comes to that play.
Interesting. And do you maybe from I don't know if you can disclose this, but any customer that you have already from this restaurant business or food business who is currently using data
And
catalog
we
or
have
data
some customers,
governance?
we have some case studies. I don't want to name them right now, but
Okay.
yeah, um, but we do have businesses who are implementing data governance. Even so, we have the customers from restaurant industry. I won't say the restaurant is a less known industry, but of course the criticality of the data, the decisions for them if the data goes wrong is not as much consequential as the bank decision was gone, because bank is
Hmm.
calculating risk. If risk goes down, the bank may go down. If while the restaurant is optimizing their supply chain,
Hmm.
but if the supply chain goes down, then they may incur losses in their current quarter, but then they can fix it, right? So that's the difference of
Hmm.
the decisions which they are taking from the data. Based on that, they can get the value. But the investment which goes in data governance compared to the value which they get is tremendously high.
Got it. Clear. So then my next question was around the vendors. What kind of vendors today offer Gen 2? Gen 2
So
only,
I
meaning
would say that so that mostly the enterprise vendor like Informatica, Colibra, they are Gen 2 vendors. Uh, that's Most of the enterprise vendors are Gen 2 vendors.
interesting. So because I have heard a lot of names, like when I looked at your competitors, Colibra, Informatica, Alation, Atlan, Data World, and there were some other names. And there are a lot of open source platforms also coming up these days. So you're saying I got a sense that Colibra, Informatica were the enterprise grade software. So you're saying they are still at Gen 2 and they have
They are
not
enterprise grade.
evolved.
Yeah, they are enterprise
Hmm.
grade, but they are not Gen 3 and Gen 4 yet. They're still at Gen 2 level. Um, they are trying to get to the Gen 3 by
Hmm.
implementing load AI features and machine learning,
Hmm.
etc., to bring to Gen 3, but it's still at the Gen 2 level. The based on our definition of generation 1, generation 2, generation 3, generation
Okay.
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we'll talk about Gen 3, Gen 4, so it will become clear. My question is the open source. There are a lot of open source tools that have come
Mostly,
in the market.
the open sources are mostly Gen 1 data catalog. They are not even Gen 2 because most of them do not support lineage. They might have the lineage
Okay.
capabilities, but they will not have automatic lineage. And that's the key.
Hmm.
Like you can have a lineage to show, hey, you can stitch yourself manually, but nobody going to spend $1 million to stitch manual lineage, right? So
Hmm.
you need automation there. So those
Hmm.
generally do not have automatic lineage capability.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they click on lineage because oh, you can manually stitch, and manual and automatic is like it's like huge
Right.
difference. Like it's
Huge
huge
difference.
difference. Yeah,
Got it. Clear. Okay.
yeah.
So Gen 2 is very
So
clear. So now my question is, what was the need then for the evolution to the next stage, the Gen
yeah.
3, if we
So
can
I
call
think
it?
the Gen 2 was as the people are focusing on the data governance aspect. Data governance is working
Hmm.
phenomenally well for Gen 2. There is
Hmm.
still the difference is that people the thing is that there is the google.com is there where you search something and something appears. The people have expectation that everything to appear, the result should be the right result should come at the first attempt, right? So that is where the need was there that hey, can we improve the search experience better? And that's where the
Okay.
Gen 3 started moving into it. That how do we improve the search experience to create it better? So people started building the graph technology, the graph database. They started using graph database to move the data in something, and
Hmm.
they call it knowledge graph. That hey, we are creating a
Hmm.
knowledge graph. There's a I would consider only two companies, which is Data.Word and Atlan, who started innovating in that area, which they started say, hey, we can do search better. So they said, okay,
Interesting.
we can have a search experience better. And they started saying in that area that, okay, now we are a Gen 3 data catalog because our search experience is better. What you're finding, you can get the data. The underlying technology remain them is still not very clear what the underlying technology is because it's a proprietary technology everybody's using to experience the search
Hmm.
experience better. That was the generation 3 is that mostly around leveraging that and also leveraging some AI to curate the metadata. So like
Hmm.
for example, oh, I have this length of customer lifetime value. Hey, what is the real definition of customer lifetime value? I can get it from internet and put it. So but the issue remains still there that that is not the customer lifetime value which the users are using inside the organization. You can get it from internet, put it there, but there is a innovation is needed to bring the best out of human, the customer lifetime
Hmm.
value. That was the generation 3 is mostly like bringing AI into the combination experience, creating a search experience better. That is mostly the
Hmm.
Gen 3 generation 3 is around. So it's more
Okay.
like technological advancement. There's not many new use cases coming, but
Okay.
the technological advancement of doing the better search for data discovery is the primarily use case for Gen 3 is.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So what I understood as you rightly summarized, no additional use case. The initial use case, which was in Gen 1 for search, just the usability and the technological advancement around that feature got got improved. And you mentioned technologies like graph technology, and you also mentioned very importantly that the technology is still proprietary to some of these names, like you mentioned Atlan, Data World. And it seems like almost like the Google search has their own proprietary algorithms, and their search
Yeah.
is much better, right, than Yahoo and Bing, etc. So in the same way, these organizations came up with their own technology for searching.
Yes. Searching. Yeah.
Interesting.
But the thing is that it's very difficult to build this technology. The reason is
Hmm.
that even though you imagine that how much money Microsoft put it on Bing, acquired
Hmm.
companies, they like billions of dollars they poured into it. They couldn't make what Google is.
Yeah.
It's not the technology alone is the problem. It's the data underneath it is the problem. The user base is the problem, right? So
Hmm.
certain thing is technically not feasible to solve. There are
Hmm.
so even though they claim that there is a better chance of getting the data, but I will caution everybody that still that the technology cannot solve the problem until unless you have a better curation. So I still say that people are looking for a better the technology thing that hey, can you give me the better results? But there is a data governance need is needed, which is generation two is
Hmm. Hmm.
solving it
Hmm.
to better curation of the data. Because if you have a better
Hmm.
curation, then the better
Hmm.
search will automatically come because you have a better curation of it. And then only one table is
Right.
responsible for one data. If you have a 20 tables and you're saying, find me the best table based on the user behavior, if 20 people use the bad data, that means the 21st person used the bad data again because the good data is
Hmm.
sitting underneath it, right? So the user is not the right representation for it. Like user engagement is not the right way of identifying it. That's why you see a lot of false narrative in the world, a lot of false things are presented because the only base they have is to identify the right information is the more people are believing into it. That they
Hmm.
seem that. But in terms of Google can build a company around it, but you can't take the wrong decisions on the data because more people believe this is the right data.
And if the way you are describing, it seems like if you have the technology, better search technology, but not the right underlying data, it's like you will get that garbage faster. It's
Garbage
like the
faster.
garbage in, garbage out. So
Yes.
so the basic what you're trying to search, the data that needs to be governed and curated and quality assured. And so then
Yes.
my last question here is, I'm intrigued that what kind of customers would require Gen 3 then,
So I think
or
that
what kind of users?
yeah, so people who are more search oriented, more data discovery oriented, whether which is Gen 1 customers,
Hmm.
but mostly to
Hmm.
move towards
Okay.
Gen 3 suddenly, because they were still have not
Interesting.
realized the Gen 2's importance of it, the data governance
Hmm.
importance of it. They're moving towards Gen 3. Oh, we need the Gen 3 data catalog, we can have a better search discovery experience without giving the
Interesting.
focus on is what is data governance's importance is there. Data
That's
governance is
so
still
then.
very highly important part.
So then maybe the right evolution would have been from Gen 1 to Gen 2, so that you did the data governance properly and then you move to Gen 3. If you took a leap from Gen 1 to Gen 3, then you miss the data quality, the data
Data
governance, which
quality,
is
data lineage, those are the main key
hmm,
aspect of the because the garbage
got
in
it.
and garbage out, you cannot put until unless you
Hmm.
fix your quality of the data, it's not going to work.
Very clear, very clear. Okay, so we have discussed these three. So there is there you mentioned four generations. So
Yes. Now
then
the
the
fourth
question is what
generation,
about?
which is yeah, so which is like we are innovating into it further into it. Now the technology seems to be right and the timing is right. So the thing is that if your data is high quality, you with the data
Hmm,
governance process, you improve the data. Now the question
hmm,
is, how do I bring the adoption to it? Now the LLMs are has been very much advanced. So instead of building the graph technology within the graph database, now LLM and the vector database is combining is giving the equally good results and better results in terms of the searching capabilities. So what we have done is we have innovated the LLMs and RAG technology combined together to solve the data discovery challenge. And then we also brought in everything combined together, the complete analytics in the data governance platform. So the reason is that when your data is highly governed, then you have to move out of the data catalog and you have to go to Snowflakes or Databricks or something to do the query into it.
Hmm.
So what we're doing is that, hey, you do not have to go out of the data catalog, because data catalog is the phase one of is discovering the data, and the phase two of asking the question with the AI is also possible in this. So you get one complete experience from discovering the data to asking question from the data and everything around it with the one experience. So that's the generation 4, which is like a much more bigger leap forward. We are taking it to, then you will not have to do the ETL work. You don't have to do the data. We don't have to build data warehouses. So if you can structure your metadata nicely, then you can just ask question from the data directly and you can get the answers. So if you do good data
Okay.
governance, you can ask question data from directly from the data and you get the answers from it.
Okay. So this is just to understand this one better, because this is, I think, important for me to understand. So you're saying it's search part is clear. Now you're saying the analytics use case, basically.
Yes.
So you're saying the analytics can also be done by a data catalog by asking questions.
Yes. So actually, the if you think about it, people are not looking for end user. Like if I'm a business executive, I'm not looking for, hey, like for example, if I'm business executive, hey, show me my balance sheet, show me my
Hmm.
like, hey, why this my revenue is going up, hey, why
Hmm.
this number is going bad here. So the question, I don't have it like, hey, where is my revenue number. So what happens, the question is around business analytics, right? That's the question is about. But generally the technology is not powerful enough since yet, until yet. So people were doing it, they are hiring business analysts who were discovering the data first, putting the data into analytics, asking question from
Hmm.
it, and giving it to executives. That, hey, this is the
Hmm.
answer of it is. So they have break the problem into two parts: data discovery, which is happening in the catalog, analytics, which is happening in warehouses or other Power BI and something, and they're giving it to business executive. So what we are doing it here is that because the data catalog have a high quality metadata, and the analytics has been totally automated by LLMs now, because we can understand the question directly from the business executives. So the business executive can ask question directly without the need of
Okay.
business analyst, without the need of data warehouse, without the need of anything, and they can directly get the answer from the data catalog. That was a breakthrough in the technology which we are bringing.
Oh, that seems like very powerful. So you're saying there is no need for like a IT person who can query the data. There is no need for, you also mentioned that no need for even a data warehouse, and
Yes.
almost like I use the chat GPT, I ask questions and it throws the answers back. I can almost have that kind of an interface in the data catalog, and I can ask all these questions like why my sales are going down, why its particular store is not profitable, why a particular bank branch has a lot of customer complaints,
Yes,
or
exactly.
lower.
So you can actually ask what if analysis questions directly from the data, and data understand your context. They're going to discover the data, and then once you understand the discover, then this going to create a kind of elastic data warehouse, and it's going to move the data there, and it's going to ask the question directly, and it's going to give
Hmm.
you the answers. So the everything is an integrated, seamless experience. Asking question directly from the data and giving you the experience is the generation 4 which we are bringing.
And that sounds pretty powerful. I would actually be maybe subsequently, I would be, and I'm sure the viewers also would be quite interested in seeing, is the product ready? When
So
can
we are
you have a
we are
demo?
we are probably launching in the month of June. We will have a public version out, so the people can go
Hmm.
not only believe on see it, they can actually experiment of it. So they will be
Hmm.
able to ask question directly from the data by themselves. And the month of June we will be launching it. Again, we have launched it internally within our organization to experiment on it. But in the month of June we are putting some publicly available data so people to go and experiment and ask question from it easily. So
Uh,
that's
uh,
the
um,
more features available.
Amazing. So then, yeah, we will all look forward to that launch and the demo. You mentioned data warehouse, you mentioned elastic data warehouse, something like that. My question is, the data warehouse will still be needed, right? For the fourth generation data catalog, or would
Yeah,
it not
so
be
I think
needed?
there are still two kind of analytics. One is the operational analytics, which is traditional analytics, where the data warehouse will keep serving the role for it. But for ad hoc
Hmm.
analytics, suppose I have suddenly a question in mind and the data does not belong in data warehouse. I have a question which needed by the data which is sitting in a application. The data catalog always have access to the application as well as data warehouse. So the data catalog can say that, hey, this data, the executive question need the data from application A and data warehouse B. Then it will bring the data from two places in an elastic data warehouse. We will compute the question's answer, give you the result, and elastic goes away by it. So it's solved the problem's answers immediately um, without any maintenance of the data warehouse. There's a lot of cost goes to maintain the data warehouse because of the you have to every day feed the data into data warehouse. So that for those ad hoc kind of questions, you don't need to maintain the data warehouse. For operational analytics, you will still continue to do that.
Okay, so this is a bit because I used to think I'm more of a strategy
Mhm.
consultant, so not like a tech person. I got a sense that data warehouse is the central, and organizations have data warehouse, and all the data resides in the data warehouse.
So data warehouse is a central repository even now, until now, because
Hmm.
there's no other ways to ask cross-functional questions from the companies, right?
Hmm.
But now, since the cost of again the technology evolves and based, so
Hmm.
as the data catalog evolved, and we already have access to all the metadata. So why to
Hmm.
copy the data for answering only one-time question when this data is not needed anymore? So that's where the we are creating this innovation. So going forward, if such customer have a question, they don't have to ask this question from anybody, and then they can go directly. So it's a difference like um, for example, a Google only
Hmm.
capture the metadata from everybody, and then whenever there is a question, it gives you direct
Hmm.
to that website. So you actually
Hmm.
understand where to find the website and then go to the website to consume it.
Hmm.
But the ChatGPT, actually, if you ask the same question from ChatGPT is actually go and search the table, but actually read the table, read the website, and give you the summary of that as well. And
Yeah,
then
the
you only
content.
consume the summary and the content of it. So something like similar to that in the analytics is that
Hmm.
why now the earlier used to data catalog used to send you to the data warehouse. Now with the chat gpt interface and combination of
Hmm.
elastic, we will bring the data centrally, compute it, and give you the results.
That sounds pretty exciting. We'll look
Yes, it is.
forward
We are very
to
excited
the.
for it.
Great. And can you tell me how many vendors are planning to offer Gen 1, Gen 4?
Gen 4, I hope not many right now. So that's where our innovation is comes to it. We are you know we are working very fast on it. We are launching it
Hmm.
on the rapid speed, and hopefully we will conquer the world because of this.
Amazing. Okay, great. So I think we got, if I summarize, I think we got a good understanding from you how of these four generations of data catalog. Gen 4 seems to be, from a self-service analytics standpoint, ChatGPT interface seems to be like a pretty useful thing. Um, I can see a lot of audience questions, and we have almost.
So let me take the questions.
Hmm,
The first question came from Raghavendra. Do data dictionary feed into data catalog? The answer is definitely yes. That's the very simple way to start building the data catalog, and you can keep building, more data catalog. So data dictionary is generally, it's always available. Mostly vendor who who give you the data. Like for example, if you have a Salesforce, the Salesforce will come with their own data dictionary. SAP comes with their own data dictionary. When you crawl the data, you can also feed the data dictionary into data catalog, and it's a multiple repository of the data catalog. Then we have some more questions. This is a very good question. You mentioned that the data catalog have evolved through multiple generation. What are the key lessons learned from earlier iteration that shaped the current generation? I think we already talked about it quite a bit. I would say the lesson learned one from generation one is that there was no the governance capability which moved to the generation two, which is like
Mm,
creating the governance around it. Then they realize the discoverability still is a challenge, which is solved in the generation three. Then
mm,
generation three is still evolving. Not many people are there on that one. So what we realize is the why to even take a leap forward further and give the complete experience of analytics as well into it. So that's the generation four is. Then there is a question is why AI and machine learning becoming integral to modern data platform? How are today's data catalog leveraging those technology for automated metadata enrichment and anomaly detection? It's a very good question. Um, Again, the power of AI is there, right? So OvalEdge have a lot of features. For example, bringing AI and helping people curate the data. But we still don't want to press the button and let the AI do the complete curation. It's not going to happen because you need to bring human contextual information into it. So we build the feature in a manner that you use the power of AI, power of human to curate your metadata. And also because of the compliance and regulation point of view, also you have to make sure that there is a is always involved in it, because AI is still AI do not understand the business context. AI do understand the you can get a complete very good definition of customer lifetime value, which is maintained as explained, but it will you will never get it. What's your company is using it, how your company is calculating it, how your company's different people understanding it, how your three different reports use three different definitions. That information need to be settled through the governance processes, through the processes, and all three people need to use one definition or they need to change their naming. That have to have through the processes, and without AI cannot do that work. You have to have processes involved. You have to tell people, hey, fix your code to use the right definition, right different. That work need to be done for that. So somebody's asking, it's Patu, is the session recorded? I think the answer is yes. We will post that. I think those pretty much it is. The the Greg is asking, how does federation play into generation 2 data catalog, or a single version of truth the only way to go? You said it right. It's a data governance processes are needed, and whether federated data governance, whether data products kind of data governance, you decide your methodology of data governance. The data catalog feature should be able to support that, and that's what we are bringing to our customers. um, so yes, but the single version of truth is the processes have to create it, and that's the generation 2 data catalog does, and that's what we are doing it as well. um, I think that those are the maximum questions. Uh, that's the Vara Youth is asking any tools is reached to data catalog Gen 4, and that's what we are saying is that we are launching this in next month, and we are very excited about it. And you will see a lot of magic is going to happen. And Gen 4 and then it like ChatGPT felt like it's a magic, and now we get used to it.
mm.
So I'm thinking that June, July, August will be like, oh, it's a magic is happening, and then people realize, no, it's not magic, it's just a technology which is working well. So we are very excited about that. Yeah, so
Great. So
wonderful.
thanks a lot. Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was
A
it
lot
was
of
very exciting,
yes.
very informative, very exciting. Looking forward to the launch and the demo. No,
Thank you so much, everyone, for attending this LinkedIn Live, and I'm excited to, I'm super excited for our launch of Gen 4. The name we are giving it Ask Edgy, so you can ask Edgy. Edgy is our AI engine, uh, basically, which is going to ask, and you can ask question from Edgy, and the product name will be the Ask Edgy, and you can ask any question from it. So launching, I
how
think
do you
the
spell
metadata version is already Ask Edgy. So
edgy? How do you
yeah,
spell edgy?
EDGI.
Okay, ask
Yeah,
edgy. Okay.
yeah. So that would be the product name, and Yeah, so there will be complete end-to-end analytics. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Sharad,
Thanks.
for
Bye.
answering the questions. Thank you. Bye bye.